Now, feel free to jump into it, but before I start talking about the files where they go, I would like to address 4 main issues that I didn't address in the last tutorial. These are things that no one tells you about, and they tend to frustrate a lot of people, including me. Things that you might find out by surprise, something you didn't sign up for, like the walking animations, for example. Let's start with that. Walking, jogging, and sprinting, they have different animations when you install SCAAR, and it used to be something that took you by surprise. And there was no fix for it. There was no change back to it. The second issue I wanted to talk about would be the close camera that tends to get disabled when using SCAAR. The third one being the VGX Sword Walking animation mod, something that also gets disabled by SCAAR. And the last one being how to categorize your menus inside the game, in case you have many mods that use menus. So let's start with the animations, the first one I mentioned. It used to be that you'd install SCAAR and Geralt would start walking and jogging differently. And not that it wasn't mentioned anywhere, but it used to be something that you didn't really sign up for. You downloaded SCAAR for the dodging animations, and then you ended up having Geralt walk and jog differently. And first of all, it was something that you didn't really want and you weren't used to. And second of all, walking and jogging uphill and downhill kind of looks awkward and unnatural for Geralt. Now, thankfully, the author has recognized the need for the vanilla walking animation to come back, especially because of its different speeds. So the author has given us back the vanilla walking animation. And it's just a separate file that you include within the general installation process. But unfortunately, it doesn't cover jogging, so you're still stuck with SCAAR jogging and sprinting. It's not too big of a deal. Thankfully, you still have your walking back, and I'll show you how to do that later when we actually start the tutorial. Now, I'll move on to the close camera. I'll just start off with this good news, but a little bit of context. You know how Next Gen introduced these close camera presets optionally? In the vanilla settings, you could have the camera to stand above Geralt's right hand shoulder. And it was in 3 different instances: when horseback riding, when exploring on foot, and when in combat. Now, SCAAR notoriously disables the close camera during exploration. It's just part of its setup. And a lot of people consider this a bug or a mistake or something that the author has to fix on his end. And while that may be true, I have found a solution which identically brings you that close camera back. And I've posted it here in the comment section. You scroll down and that last comment here, that's me. This is the link to it and a little bit of an explanation of what it does. But let me show you now. It's basically this mod page here by this lovely author who has made several mods, but this one in particular called NTAC Camera. It's a separate mod you install after you're done with SCAAR. You could do it before SCAAR, it doesn't matter, but just make sure when you add the files, you merge separately from SCAAR, okay? So it's not part of the SCAAR installation process, it's a different mod. And once you have it up and running, what you do is you come inside the menu, which you've successfully installed, and you press either NTAC preset, focus style, or in your case, Next Gen Shoulder, which is identical to that close camera that Next Gen introduced. Once you press that, the mod will actually work for you. Just one small detail, it will only work for you if in the vanilla options inside the game, outside of the mod settings, you've gone to options, gameplay, exploration camera distance must be set to default, okay? Which is actually the far away camera. Once you've got it to default and you've got this mod successfully installed and you've pressed on Next Gen Shoulder, you will have that close camera back even with SCAAR installed. And I have both mods installed, and I can tell you they work perfectly. Moreover, this is a lovely mod where you can actually set particular details to where exactly the camera stands. It's such a wonderful mod. You can see the settings here, and it's really easy to use. I'll move on to the VGX Sword Walking animation. Now, again, this is a separate mod. In this case, this is not something we're going to install right now. I'm just showing you the page in order to put it in context for those of you who don't know. But for those of you who do know, you know where we can't get this stance working with SCAAR, and there isn't a solution. I just want to let you know that if you love this mod, and I absolutely adore it, once you have SCAAR on, even if you successfully merge the 2 files, SCAAR will not allow for the VGX Sword Walk to take place. It kind of bullies it out. And if you give VGX Sword Walk priority over SCAAR, then SCAAR, not only will it not work, but I think the game doesn't start. And it's because the author has said the author of SCAAR, I mean, has said in the past that he doesn't like that VGX Sword Walk animation. It's basically just walking in shallow water with Geralt holding the sword, but obviously the mod giving us that permanent look. And the author of SCAAR says that, he's implemented his own VGX Sword Walk, so, no can do. It's not something that they agree with. So this one is, I'm afraid to say, out of the equation. And there is this rumor, and I feel like I need to tell you this. There is a rumor that this guy, well, first of all, this mod called Eternal Hunt, which I've never installed and I don't intend to install because it's a major overhaul. But I guess basically apparently this guy has managed to make VGX Sword Walk and SCAAR work together. If you feel like it, go and contact him. I don't intend to do that. So that's it with VGX Sword Walk. It's out of the equation. And lastly, don't get scared by these two blue screens. I swear to God, this is one of the easiest mods to ever install, and I'm so grateful that it exists. But let me put it in context. If you ever install 10 mods or more that each have their own menus, then what will happen is you will have exceeded the limit of how many menus of mods you can have in the game. So what will happen is some of them will start to become invisible. Now, the mods will continue to work. They won't be disabled or anything like that. It's just that you won't be able to go into their settings and tweak them. So what this mod here that I'm showing you does is it lets you create these menu strings. So you're just creating these sub menus. That's all you're doing. And the installation is just so easy. All you do is you unpack and copy to the mods folder, and that's it. But as you can see, it does nothing by itself. What you need to do is from then on is each time you want to include a mod's menu inside your game, you have to go into the file of that mod and just add that section, in this case combat. So I have my SCAAR menu inside combat, and this is where I'll place it. But this is your list. This is your list, so you can use alchemy and equipment, camera, characters, combat, gameplay, visuals, and graphics. Up to you. It doesn't need to make sense. It just needs to make sense to you, and that's all you do. So I just wanted you to know about this. Now, let's jump into the tutorial. Okay, let's start by going to Files, and you can either download all of these together or do it one by one, whatever is going to help you stay focused and not confuse you. In my case, you know what, I'll just do it one by one for the sake of this tutorial. One thing that I absolutely have to download and install, and we can follow this step-by-step process, in my case download and add files, is I'll just download this for now, and I'll start with this. Obviously, save it somewhere. You can find it later in case you lose it. I'll open it straight from my browser. And then what I need to do is, well, I've got these 3 folders, which inside them are the actual mods that need to go into my game. And then outside of these 3 folders, there's a file called input settings. It doesn't go anywhere. It gets opened, and these lines get copy-pasted to a particular place. But I'll do that later, so I'll close it for now. I'll just pin this for myself so it doesn't kind of go outside of view. What I need to go to is I need to go to my game directory. In my case, Windows 10 GOG is the platform I downloaded my Witcher 3 from. It's not Steam. So you go to your game directory, you go to, well, here, and you would know about this folder by now, right? It's not something that comes by default. You create that folder. And in my case, inside, I've already installed 180 mods. Now, in my case, they're all quite, low effort mods. Well, I shouldn't say that. They're quite merge friendly mods, they are. So in my case, I'll have no problem merging. But what I want to do is I want to come to mods here, and I want to drag and drop this into the empty space. And just for confirmation, you can see that it's here. Yeah, I've added it. Normally, I would need to add my compatibility inside this folder, but that's step 3, and we don't need to do that quite yet. So what I need to do now is go back here, and I want to add my DLC folder, which is this one. Back to the game directory, DLC, and into the empty space it goes, DLC, drag and drop. Again, it's at this stage I could now add my vanilla walk, but again, that's step number 4, so I'll just hold off on that one for now. Go back to the game directory. What I need to do now is see bin. I need to have my menu working, right? So let's do that. I'll go inside bin, and you can see config, you can see R4 game, user config matrix, and PC, and I've got 2 files here. Those 2 files need to go inside the same streak of folders. Bin, config here, R4 game, user config matrix, PC, and inside this empty space, I'll drag and I'll drop. There you go. Now, I will come back to this a little bit later. I'll minimize for now, and I want to explain 2 things here for you. For the menu to actually work, you have to open DX11 notepad as well as DX12 notepad. And inside them, what you want to do is enter in an empty space this exact line. Mod, capital SCAAR, dot lowercase xml semicolon, exit and save. I need to do exactly the same thing here. Here's obviously an easier way of doing it. You can just open this up, mark the whole thing with the XML, control copy, obviously. Go into DX12, open that space and paste it. And just don't forget that semicolon, please. Otherwise, your menu won't work. But this is exactly what it needs to look like. Exit and save. Now, that was the first thing. The second thing I want to show you is that step where I talked about these menu strings. Okay, this is what it looks like. So because I already have this mod installed, all I need to do now is open that file I just added. In my case, I'll open it with Visual Studio Code. I'll explain why. It's because if in case my mod had several mentions of this line, which is group ID, SCAAR mod, display name, equals mod, SCAAR, if I have that line anywhere else down here, I'm going to need to edit that as well. This is not what I'm referring to. So in my case, I only have this mentioned once at the very top. And because it's only this, all I need to do now is I need to press directly after that dot, mods dot. And in my case, obviously I want my SCAAR mod to go under combat dot. But if I wanted to, I could throw it into gameplay. I can do that as well if I want to. All right, combat. So this is what it's going to look like now. Mods, combat, SCAAR, name. And I will just press the X here and I will save. And I've got my menu working now. All right, so I've done these steps: download and add files and menus and XMLs. If you want to, you can do this step now, the input settings. It doesn't really matter, but I'll do it now. As you can see, when I open it, I just have these lines. They just need to go into the official game inputs. And where that is on my Windows 10 is on Documents here, and Witcher 3. And normally you would find your game saves here, so that's how you'd be familiar with this place. And I need to open this input settings. And what you could normally do is, and I'll just open that up like this. It's quite large. What I could normally do is I could open space at the very top and then copy this and add it there and close and save. In theory, that should work. But instead, what I like to do, and I would advise you to always take this step, is to get familiar with what you're doing. And in this case, you want to find your Control and copy, and then Control F down, paste combat, find next, in order to locate what it is that you're doing here. What you're doing is you're opening space under combat, or you could do it under here or under there. It doesn't really matter as long as it goes under combat. And this is where these two lines go. All right, copy, paste. And then, lastly, I just need to locate my exploration. Down, find next, here it is. Open space, copy this line, and paste it here. Close, exit, save, close. This file is totally done. We've finished with this process, so I can close that. Now I can do my compatibility. So compatibility in my case needs to be downloaded. Back to the SCAAR page, files. Now, because I'm doing next gen, I'm downloading this file here, which is 404. But if you play on the classic, the old version, this is the one you need to download. You would press it and you would press manual download. In my case, I'm doing 404, so this is what I'm downloading. Now, this is where we start replacing files. So once you open that up, you can see it says SCAAR patch. And this menu needs to go and replace the previous menu that we added. In our case, it was mod SCAAR. So as you can see, I just located it, mod SCAAR Vengeance. Now, what I would advise you to do is go inside here and then in here. And then same thing here and in here. And as you can see, what we're going to do is we'll replace scripts. We'll replace this one with this one. So drag and drop into the empty space, replace the files in the destination, and our compatibility now has been done. It's time for Vanilla Walk, which I said is optional. At this point, I could technically merge and run the mod, but let's just do our vanilla walking. Again, files, down here, manual download. Open. Now, as you can see, it says DOC at the front, so it needs to go into the DOC. And again, we are replacing in here. And at this point, you can just drag and drop the DOC straight into here. Replace, and that's my walking changed back to vanilla. It's at this point I really want to merge before I install the camera mod. Just for the record, my camera mod is already installed, so I won't show you this step, but I will touch on how to install it. Go to your merger. Now, in my case, all I need to merge is SCAAR with another mod for disabling my slow walking when inside a boat. But I just want to highlight, I am only going to merge the scripts. I am not touching the bundled text, which is completely separate from this tutorial. This is stuff that I've done before, and I can leave bundled text, in my case, unattended. It's just the scripts that need to be merged for the game to actually run. If you get any crazy conflicts with other mods, there is a separate tutorial that you need to watch about script merger in The Witcher 3, and it won't always work out. There are certain mods that will be incompatible with each other. I can't possibly cover it all. Okay. Now that you're done and you close your merger, what you want to do is launch the game. This is because it's at this point you want the game to compile the scripts. You do not install another mod right now because you don't want multiple mods being installed and compiled simultaneously. So you want to launch a game, you want to wait for that screen that says compiling scripts to finish its job, and once you go into the game, considering you don't have any issues at that point, and you won't, you want to exit the game. Do not load a save. Okay, I've exited the game by successfully compiling the scripts. I know now the game is working. So it's either at this point that I want to install my camera mod, which is here. As you can see, it's dropping the content just like we did with a normal mod, and then doing the same thing with that XML. So what you would do is you would add the XML to the bin, like I showed you. You would go to your DX11 and DX12, and you would type in, you would obviously type in this name, mod ntac camera.xml semicolon in both notepads, and then you would open this file that you've just added, and you would do the subcategory like I showed you. In my case, mod ntac. Well, not time, but where was it? ntac camera. So in my case, this is what it looks like. Here's the mod in the mods folder, and then in the bin, you can see that I've already added ntac camera in both of them. And then I've opened this, and I have inserted gameplay. Yeah. So that's where I tend to find it. It's already installed. Now, you either install camera or you don't, but either way, you compile scripts, exit, and only then launch the game again and load a save. In my case, I've already done all the hard work. I can actually start to enjoy the game. Now, when I go into the menu, I'll show you what it looks like and what you can do with the different presets and show you that it's working. Okay, options, mods, and as you can see, I've already got these subcategories. And here's combat, where I'm looking for SCAAR, and here it is. Now, what I would advise you start with is press on Combined Forces, and you decide whether you want your voice taunts. This is when you press and hold control, Geralt will taunt the enemy. I'm turning mine off. My dodges are exactly that, Combined Forces, the most beautiful in my opinion, and the ones that everyone loves the most. I prefer Geralt holding the sword with only one hand at all times, so that's why I'm choosing version 1 and one-handed as well. I used to play with vanilla long dodge. This is when Geralt kind of jumps forward and rolls, but lately I've been playing mostly with intense. I think I prefer intense the most. Oh, sorry, revolve. I think it was revolve. At that point, the mod is working. I'll load a save, and you can see how what it looks like. But just before then, I'll go into gameplay, and I'll show you that I've got my ntac tweaks here as well. And here's camera, and I've already got this sorted in the vanilla. It's set to default, and this is on. And what you can do is just press next gen shoulder, and you can see that it will do it for you. And you know what? Actually, I'll leave it like that. I'll load a save just so you can see what it looks like. So you can see I'm quite close to Geralt, but that's mostly because I'm inside an interior. But I'll just show you the dodges. Look. That blue dot is obviously my mouse. Still doing that, don't worry about it. So here are the SCAAR dodges, and then here's the long dodge. Yeah, that's the one I kind of like the most. Anyway, for the camera, you can see I'm close to Geralt. I believe this is what close camera is like. If I wanted to go back to default camera, obviously options, mods, gameplay, NTAC tweaks, camera, and I could just press vanilla, and then I would come back to this. Alright, so from here on now, if you're using SCAAR and you want to play with the camera, you no longer go to options, gameplay, and this. You no longer do this because, sorry, not combat, but exploration. This will no longer do anything, okay? You have to keep it at default, and you have to change your exploration. You can still change your combat and your horseback. That's not a problem. But for the exploration, you really want to be coming to mods. Well, in my case, gameplay, NTAC tweaks, camera, and then choosing a preset or doing your own. In which case, you would press this, and you would start playing with these. This is my horizontal, so I can go all the way to the right. I can go a little bit lower, so I can see his feet. Let's say minus 30 is good. I could zoom, let's say, to 0.10. I could switch that on, so every time I walk into a house, the camera doesn't change angle. You obviously get what this is about, and then you know, every time you're running, you can kind of change that to how much the camera moves. And look what that's going to look like now, you know. And I can zoom even further, and as you can see, the